Rome was not supposed to need saving. For centuries, it had survived chaos by absorbing it. Civil wars, assassinations, plagues, betrayals. These were not anomalies, but rhythms. Rome bent, adapted, renamed its rulers, rewrote its laws, and carried on. Power changed hands so often that instability itself became tradition. So when history later tells us that one man's decision, one vision before a battle, altered the fate of an empire, something feels off. Too neat, too dramatic, almost comforting. Because empires do not usually fall or survive because of symbols. They collapse from exhaustion. They persist through systems. They decay slowly, then suddenly. And yet, Constantine's gamble still lingers like a fault line beneath history. A single choice, wrapped in belief, strategy, fear, and hope. A choice that did not simply reorganize Rome's politics, but quietly rearranged the inner architecture of power itself. What if Constantine did not save Rome at all? What if he changed the rules by which survival was defined? An empire that had already broken. By the early 4th century, Rome was still vast, but it was no longer whole. The empire had learned to survive by division. Power was split among emperors. Authority was duplicated, fragmented, hedged against collapse. The system worked, technically. It was clever. But it revealed something fragile beneath the surface. Rome no longer trusted unity. Borders stretched thin. Armies were loyal to generals more than ideals. Inflation hollowed the economy. Civil war had become procedural. Stability was something imposed, not believed in. And perhaps more quietly, belief itself was dissolving. The old gods still had temples, rituals, and priesthoods, but they no longer explained the world in ways that felt intimate or moral. They governed contracts and victories, not conscience. They demanded offerings, not allegiance of the soul. Across the empire, something else was spreading, not loudly, not triumphantly, but persistently. A faith that spoke less about conquest and more about meaning. Less about fate, more about salvation. Less about Rome, more about the individual. Christianity did not yet command armies. It did not rule institutions. But it occupied something more dangerous: imagination. And Rome, despite all its power, had always been vulnerable to ideas. Constantine, before the cross. Constantine did not begin as a reformer of faith. He was a soldier, shaped by frontier violence and imperial calculation. He learned early that legitimacy was fragile, earned not only through victory, but through narrative. Who you claimed to be mattered almost as much as what you conquered. When his father died, Constantine inherited ambition, not certainty. The empire's system of co-emperors meant rivals everywhere. Loyalty was temporary, alliances were brittle, survival required decisiveness. And so when Constantine marched toward Rome in 312 CE to face Maxentius, he was not choosing theology, he was facing extinction. The story tells us that before the battle, he saw a sign, a cross of light in the sky, accompanied by words that promised victory through belief. Whether vision, dream, political theater, or psychological rupture, the moment matters less than what followed. Because Constantine acted as if it were true. He ordered a new symbol painted on shields. He invoked a god not yet fully his. He wagered legitimacy on an idea Rome barely understood. And in doing so, he performed one of history's most dangerous acts. He tied power to meaning. The gamble beneath the miracle. It is tempting to frame Constantine's conversion as either sincere revelation or cynical strategy. But that binary may miss the deeper tension. What if belief and strategy were no longer separable? The Roman world had reached a point where force alone could no longer unify it. Violence could suppress, but not bind. Law could regulate, but not inspire. Tradition could persist, but not persuade. Christianity offered something Rome had never institutionalized: an interior allegiance, a moral identity portable across borders, a story in which suffering had purpose and loyalty transcended empire. For a ruler trying to stabilize chaos, this was not merely useful, it was transformative. But transformation carries risk. By aligning imperial authority with a universal moral claim, Constantine did something unprecedented. He made power accountable to meaning. He allowed belief to judge empire, even as empire protected belief. This fusion was unstable, creative, dangerous, and irreversible. A new center of gravity. After Constantine's victory, Rome did not suddenly become Christian. It shifted, slowly, unevenly, often contradictorily. Old gods lingered. New laws coexisted with old customs. The empire spoke in multiple moral languages at once. But something fundamental had moved. Authority was no longer anchored only in lineage or conquest. It now leaned on interpretation, on doctrine, on questions of truth. Councils were convened, creeds debated, words became battlegrounds. Theological disagreement became political crisis. In trying to unify belief, Constantine revealed a paradox. Meaning cannot be centralized without resistance. The empire gained cohesion, but lost simplicity. Unity now required agreement not just in obedience, but in thought. And thought, once invited into power, refuses to stay obedient. Saving Rome or transforming it? Here is the quiet tension historians often circle but rarely linger within. Did Constantine save Rome, or did he accept that Rome, as it had been, could not be saved? The empire that emerged after him was recognizably Roman, yet fundamentally altered. Power shifted eastward. The old civic religion faded. Authority became moralized. Time itself began to feel different. History now moved toward redemption, not repetition. Rome survived, yes, but as something else. Perhaps that was the real gamble, not preservation, but metamorphosis. And perhaps Constantine understood something subtle, that empires do not endure by freezing themselves, but by rewriting the stories that justify them. The cost of sacred power. Yet every synthesis hides a fracture. By linking divine truth to imperial authority, Constantine set a precedent that would echo for centuries. Power could now claim holiness. Dissent could become heresy. Politics could dress itself in moral inevitability. The gamble stabilized the empire in one sense, but it also planted the seeds of future conflict: crusades, schisms, persecutions, reformations. Once belief becomes law, disagreement becomes danger. And once salvation is institutionalized, doubt becomes subversive. This was not Constantine's intention, perhaps, but history rarely asks permission. The question. Beneath the story. So we return to the quieter, more unsettling question. Did Constantine save Rome, or did he simply change the terms of collapse? Did his gamble buy centuries of continuity, or did it exchange one kind of decay for another, slower and more inward, and more uncomfortably still? When societies reach moments of fracture, do they always reach for meaning as a tool of survival? Do we still? The mirror turns toward us. Every civilization eventually confronts a version of Constantine's dilemma. When systems strain and trust erodes, when institutions feel hollow but necessary, something deeper is sought. A unifying story, a moral center, a belief that can bind without coercion. Sometimes that belief is religious, sometimes ideological, sometimes technological, sometimes national. But the pattern repeats. We tell ourselves that a single idea, properly embraced, might restore coherence, that one gamble might heal fragmentation, that meaning, once aligned with power, can stabilize the future. And yet history whispers caution, because meaning is not a tool. It resists ownership. It reshapes those who try to wield it. reflective echo, what the gamble reveals. Perhaps the enduring question is not whether Constantine saved Rome. Perhaps it is why we keep hoping that one decision, one leader, or one belief might save us from the slow work of moral complexity. Rome did not fall the day Constantine raised a new symbol, and it did not survive simply because he did. What changed was the way power justified itself, no longer only through force, but through purpose. And once purpose enters politics, it never fully leaves. The gamble Constantine made still echoes whenever authority borrows meaning to steady itself, whenever belief is asked to carry the weight of order, whenever we confuse salvation with stability. History does not resolve this tension. It repeats it, quietly, in different forms. And perhaps the real question is not whether Constantine saved Rome, but whether we are still living inside the consequences of that gamble, waiting, again, for meaning to rescue what power alone cannot. Follow Timeless Questions for more reflections on history and human nature.